Hello hockey fans, and welcome back to another video. As we approach the final few weeks of the roller coaster ride that has been the year 2020, and the world gets wrapped up in its usual festive cheer, I wanted to explore one more European hockey league and the NHL alumni in its ranks before the clocks ticked over to the new year. Given that we have already delved deeper into some of Europe's more prominent leagues in Russia, Sweden and Switzerland, I figured that we should once again visit the continent's eastern region and check out who's currently plying their trade in the Czech Republic. After all, the country is often considered a step below the other powerhouses of the sport, and its domestic league is somewhat overlooked by the wider hockey community. But as we have seen both in the NHL and on the international stage, the Czechs have produced some very talented hockey players over the years. So in today's video, join me as I take you through my list of 10 former NHLers playing in the Czech Extraliga this season. Kicking things off at number 10, we have Michal Repik. One of the lesser known names on this list in the year 2020, and the veteran of the least amount of NHL games, Michal Repik's tenure in North America may have been brief, but that hasn't stopped him from carving out an impressive career across the pond. A second-round draft pick by the Florida Panthers back in 2007, Repik took to the ice in parts of 4 NHL seasons, all with the Panthers, and scored 9 goals and 20 points in 72 games for his efforts. Following a 17-game stint with Florida during the 11-12 season, the Czech forward would spend the rest of the year in the minors, move back across the pond for the 12-13 season, and spend the next 7 years of his career bouncing between several leagues in Europe, including the KHL, the Finnish Liga and the Swiss National League, yet he would always seem to end up in the Czech Republic at some point each year. Once the 2019-20 season rolled around though, Repik decided to return home on a more permanent basis than in years past, as he signed with Extraliga side HC Sparta Prague. Repik is still playing for Sparta during the current 2021 season, continues to serve as the captain of the team, and has scored 20 points in 22 games at the time of this recording. So by the looks of it, the 31-year-old is once again leading by example on the scoreboard, and will likely get the opportunity to remain with the team for the foreseeable future, should he wish to stick around for another year or two. Next up at number 9, we have Roman Horak. Another name that likely goes unnoticed by most NHL fans, Roman Horak hasn't let his lack of recognition stop him from producing a long and successful career as a pro hockey player. A 5th-round pick by the New York Rangers in 2009, Horak suited up in 84 NHL games over 3 seasons, split between the Calgary Flames and the Edmonton Oilers, where he notched 6 goals and 19 points for his efforts. After a 2-game stint with the Oilers during the 13-14 season, the Czech forward would spend the next 4 seasons in the KHL with Vityaz Podolsk, before moving to Sweden for a couple of seasons in order to join the SHL's Växjö Lakers. This season though, Horak has returned to his native league for the first time in over a decade, and is playing alongside Michal Repik as a member of HC Sparta Prague. With 21 points in 22 games so far this year, I wouldn't be surprised if the 29-year-old found himself back in Sweden or even getting another shot in the KHL if he keeps this scoring pace up for the rest of the year. If his scoring cools off though and the offers don't come flooding in, I'm sure Horak wouldn't mind staying with the team and continuing in his father's footsteps for a little while longer. At the 8th spot on this list, we have Tomas Vincour. The final player on this list to have played under 100 NHL games, Tomas Vincour hasn't been the most productive player during his career, but he must be doing something right if he's still going strong over a decade after he was drafted. A 5th-round pick by the Dallas Stars in 2009, Vincour played parts of 4 seasons in the NHL, split between the Stars and the Colorado Avalanche, scoring 7 goals and 17 points in 95 games in the process. Following a 7-game stint with the Avs in 14-15, the Czech forward would spend the following year in the KHL with Sabir Novosibirsk, before returning home to the Czech Republic for the 16-17 season, where he would spend the next 4 years plying his trade back home. Vincour continues to suit up in the Czech League to this very day, as he is currently playing for HC Kometa Brno, the team he has either played for or been loaned from since his return home, and the organisation he was a member of before moving to North America for the 07-08 season. With 6 points in the first 18 games of the year, the 30-year-old is on pace to produce one of, if not the least productive season of his entire pro career. That said, he has only registered 4 penalty minutes, which is noticeably less than his usually low totals, so perhaps he is finding other ways to contribute to his team's success that don't always show up on the box score. Next, at number 7, we have Peter Mueller. The only North American player to be featured on this list, Peter Mueller has certainly found a home away from home in the Czech League over the last few seasons. The 8th overall pick of the 2006 draft by the Phoenix Coyotes, Mueller took to the ice in 297 NHL games over 6 seasons split between the Coyotes, the Colorado Avalanche and the Florida Panthers, where he scored 63 goals and 160 points in the process. Once his lone year with the Panthers came to an end, at the conclusion of the lockout-shortened 12-13 season, the American forward would spend 2 years in the Swiss National League, a year in the SHL, return to North America for a year in the AHL, head overseas once again to join the Austrian EBEL, before settling down in the Czech League for the 18-19 season as he joined HC Kometa Brno. In fact, Mueller continues to play for Brno during the current 2021 season and is keeping up his impressive scoring numbers from years past, thanks to notching 12 points in 13 games so far this year. Since he is still scoring at a point-per-game pace, and with his contract expiring at the end of next season, I expect that both the player and the organisation will continue to reap the rewards of their agreement for many months to come. And besides, I don't think the 32-year-old will be in a rush to leave anytime soon. It's not every day you get to be a high-scoring star in a pro hockey league, you know. Moving on to number 6, we have Michal Neuvirth. The only goaltender to be included on this list, Michal Neuvirth is the most recognisable name so far by a long way, yet his quiet departure from the NHL has left many fans wondering what's happened to him in the years since his exit from the league. So allow me to fill you in, folks. A second-round pick by the Washington Capitals back in 2006, Michal Neuvirth suited up in parts of 11 NHL seasons split between 4 different teams, where he posted a 105, 93 and 26 record, a 2.71 career goals against average, and a .910 career save percentage in 257 games during that span. Following a 7-game stint with the Philadelphia Flyers during the 18-19 season, the Czech netminder would quickly return home and join the Extraliga for the following year in order to join HC Sparta Prague. However, he didn't suit up in a single regular season game with the team during the prior 2019-20 season due to a nagging hip injury that had plagued him since his PTO contract with the Maple Leafs earlier in the year. Despite this setback though, Neuvirth has found another way to assist his new organisation by practicing with the team and helping the roster's already established goalie tandem in more of a coaching role instead. Now this pick might come with a bit of an asterisk, as Neuvirth hasn't suited up in a single game for the team during the current 2021 season either. That said, he is still signed as a roster player with Prague for the rest of the year and appears to be filling the role of third-string netminder/goalie coach. So if injuries arise between the pipes, Neuvirth should be ready and able to step back onto the ice, shake off the rust and put his skills on display once more. If not though, he seems to be enjoying his debut into coaching, so perhaps using his extensive experience in the NHL to help future netminders refine their game is where his talent shall take him next. I guess we'll have to keep an eye on him and see, folks. Halfway through this list now at number 5, we have Rostislav Oles. The highest selection at the NHL entry draft on this list, Rostislav Oles has followed up a lengthy, highly touted stint in North America with an impressive performance much closer to home. The 7th overall pick of the 2004 draft by the Florida Panthers, Oles played in 365 NHL games over 9 seasons split between the Panthers, the Chicago Blackhawks and the New Jersey Devils, where he scored 57 goals and 134 points for his efforts. Following a 10-game stint with the Devils during the 13-14 season, the Czech forward would spend the rest of that year, as well as the following 2 seasons, between the Swiss National League and his native Czech League, before returning home for good for the 16-17 season. This year, Oles is once again in the Extraliga as he continues to play for HC Olomouc, whom he joined before the start of the prior 2019-20 season. With 7 points in the first 20 games of the year, the 35-year-old is certainly experiencing the expected regression a mid-30-year-old hockey player often faces, as he is on pace to register one of the least productive seasons of his entire career. Despite his numbers taking a hit though, his two-way skills and his defensive attributes have meant that he continues to provide value to his team and remains a serviceable player in the league as he enters his twilight years. So at least he still has his uses, right guys? Next up at number 4 we have Milan Jurcina. The oldest player to be featured on this list, Milan Jurcina must have racked up some pretty sizable air miles in recent years, as he has been on quite the trip around Europe. An 8th round pick by the Boston Bruins back in 2001, Jurcina took to the ice in parts of 7 NHL seasons, split between 4 different teams, scoring 22 goals and 81 points in 430 games in the process. Following his sophomore year with the New York Islanders during the 11-12 season, the Slovakian defenseman spent the next 4 years bouncing between 6 different European countries spread across a variety of domestic leagues, including the Czech League, the Finnish Liga, the Swiss National League, the KHL and even the DEL. After concluding his European tour with 3.5 seasons in Germany between 2016 and 2019, Jurcina would return to the Czech League for the first time since 2012 in order to join HC Sparta Prague for the 2019-20 season. Jurcina continues to play for Prague to this day, and with 2 points in his first 3 games of the season, the Blue Liner is on track to record one of the most productive years of his career if he manages to get back into the lineup soon and pick up right where he left off. If not though, he's still a 6'4", 265-pound defenseman who likes to throw hits and play physical, so he'll no doubt continue to put the fear of God into his opponents until he decides to call it quits on his career. At the 3rd spot on this list, we have Ladislav Smid. The second of 3 defensemen, and a player most recognised by NHL fans in Alberta, Ladislav Smid always seemed to compensate his lack of scoring numbers with his expert play in the defensive zone, something that certainly hasn't changed since he moved back across the pond just a few years ago. The 9th overall pick of the 2004 draft by the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim, the good old days, Smid suited up in parts of 11 seasons in the NHL, split between the Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames, where he scored 12 goals and 60 points in 583 games for his efforts. After spending the 16-17 season as a member of the Flames, yet being credited with playing 0 games for the team that year, the Czech defenseman moved back across the pond for the 17-18 season in order to return home and reunite with his pre-draft and lockout team, Billy Tigri Liberec. In fact, Smid is currently suiting up in his 4th straight season with Liberec and has served as an alternate captain of the team since his return. With 11 points in his first 21 games during the current 2021 season, the 34-year-old continues to hold up his end of the bargain by producing similar scoring numbers to the previous years on the roster. When you couple that with his contract expiring at the end of next season and his lengthy history with the organisation, I doubt he'll be wanting to leave the team anytime soon. Don't really blame him, to be honest. It seems like a perfect match for both parties. Penultimately, at number 2, we have Vladimir Sobotka. The most productive player at the NHL level on this list, Vladimir Sobotka is also the first player to have been featured in multiple videos in this miniseries, thanks to him also appearing in the Swiss League episode just a few weeks ago. Those of you who watched the previous episode will already know this next part, but for anyone who has either forgotten or didn't watch it, Sobotka was a 4th round pick by the Boston Bruins back in 2005, who went on to play parts of 10 seasons in the NHL, split between 4 different teams, where he scored 53 goals and 171 points in 584 games in the process. Following a 16-game stint with the Buffalo Sabres during the prior 2019-20 season, the Czech forward made the move back across the pond in order to join the Swiss National League's Rapperswil Jona Lakers. Yet after 4 games and just 2 points with the team, the Lakers declined to extend Sobotka's contract, so the 33-year-old decided to head back home for the first time since 2007 and join HC Sparta Prague on a 1-month tryout. To say that Sobotka has played well on his current deal would be an absolute understatement, as he has scored 10 points in his first 10 games with the team. Given his impressive production and his ability to make an impact from the second he was slotted into the lineup, I can't see why he or the team wouldn't want to extend his stay for the rest of the season. So, will Sobotka finally find a home for the rest of the year, or will he end up on a 3rd team in a 3rd European league before the season is done? Find out next time when I make the next video in this series and he somehow makes another appearance. I can't get rid of you, Sobotka. And finally, at number 1, we have Roman Polak. The veteran of the most NHL games on this list by a huge margin, Roman Polak tops this list, having ended his long and successful career in the best league in the world just a few months ago. A 6th round pick by the St. Louis Blues back in 2004, Polak took to the ice in 806 NHL games over parts of 14 seasons split between 4 different teams, where he scored 26 goals and 140 points in the process. Following his departure from the Dallas Stars before the 2020 playoffs got underway, the Czech defenseman decided that instead of joining his team on their trip to the Stanley Cup Finals, he would instead move back home to his native league in order to join HC Vitkovice for the 2021 season. Since then, Polak has spent the last few months on Vitkovice's roster, and he must have made a strong first impression in the locker room as he currently serves as the captain of the roster. With 4 points in his first 17 games of the season, Polak still isn't the most productive player around, but with his strong defensive attributes and his 69 penalty minutes already this year, it shows that he's been throwing his weight around and doing exactly what he does best in the other areas of the game. I mean, come on folks, did you expect anything else from Polak at this point? It's kind of his thing. And that was my list of 10 former NHLers playing in the Czech Extraliga this season. What do you guys think about the NHL alumni in the Czech Republic this year? Are you surprised with the number of games a lot of these players reached at the NHL level, or did I miss somebody completely obvious off the list? Let me know in the comments below, I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching guys, I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye! A big thank you to Carl Fairbank, Chris Gadsby, Connor B, Drew Fawcett, Jordan Whitehead, Martin Tolness, Paul Mallia, Roman from London, Tom from Finland, and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.